Good morning, my name is Bill Morse, M-O-R-S-E. I'm an information officer with the Southwest Area Incident Management Team number 4. It's the morning press briefing for June 29th. It was a good night last night, and we had a really positive day yesterday. The winds, the weather was working with us, and we didn't have any substantial growth to the San Juan fire. Out in the head of the fire, on the northeast side, where the winds were pushing it, it pushed into that treated area. Originally, our plan was to get well out ahead of that fire, put in dozer lines, do some back burning and burnouts to really try to fill in. They've been able to change that plan and go right up against the head of the fire. So we're really right up to the edge of the black and able to fill things in, coming off the 404 road. So the head of that fire is real solid. The east flank, where the winds had pushed it a couple days ago, across that flank, and we were really losing it, that's become really secure. Today we're just going to be finishing up a lot of those burnout operations and taking care of them, trying to secure that, kind of button some of those things up. Yesterday they did find a spot fire that was 1,000 to 1,500 feet beyond the line that was wind driven, that started another about an acre fire, but we were able to catch that. It's secured, that thing is contained, and haven't found any more spots since then. The heel of the fire, down on the south end, that's where we're feeling the solidest. You know, it's really got a good line around it. It's pretty cool. Our real area of focus here is going to be on the west flank, what we're looking at up back behind us. That's where we still have a lot of fire activity. The fire's up on the top of a knoll. We need to get that stuff burned out. Over the next couple days, we're going to see a lot of burning operations. That's in real heavy fuels. We'll get to where we can get up on top of the hills and start lighting, working our way back down the hill to fill that space in. Today they're getting dozer lines or at least hand lines, fire lines down in. It's a real secure place to hold that. That's where we're still really having a lot of our pressure. So looking for a good day today. It is getting hotter. It's getting drier. The weather is still playing a big factor here, but you know, it kind of feels like we're riding a winning horse here. Don't want to get overly confident, but like I said, we held the San Juan fire in pretty good shape yesterday, and the weather seemed to be cooperating. We've got a really good plan up, and we're implementing it. Things seem to be working along pretty well for us. That's all I have right now. The acreage still holds at 5,000 acres, and we're still reporting 0% containment with the San Juan fire. That being said, we don't report containment until we have an area that's completely secure, cool for a couple of days. But understand, there's a lot of crews, there's a lot of line out there, there's a lot of work being done. You'll see those containment numbers start bumping up quite rapidly as we go. We had a very successful community meeting last night, a big turnout for the Vernon community, at least 200 people there, and you know, things seem to be going really well with them. Good, positive, grateful community. They're liking what we're doing, so it's our intention to keep earning that and do our very best job that we can.
Did the fire play into those treated areas that were addressed in the meeting last night?
Absolutely. Up at the head of the fire on the northeast end, that's really the biggest impact it had on the San Juan fire, is it bumped into the treated areas. Where it was untreated, we had 100 to 200 foot flame lengths being driven by the wind. Got into those treated areas, and that laid right down. It got the fire down on the ground. I think they were saying we're having 2 to 4 foot flame lengths, which is a lot more manageable, a lot safer, and was able to slow down the San Juan fire. So in conjunction with all the work that's been doing over the years, and then the operations that we have been going right now, holding it, so far, so good. We're getting a pretty good hold on this thing. So we'll see how it goes. You know, as we all know, Mother Nature's really in charge of this, but we're doing our best to kind of try to push back at it, and things are going well, going according to plan.
Is there any change in the number of crew on the ground from 500 or so?
We're still at 502 personnel here. No change. We've got all of our resources here on the fire, and we're out, getting out on the line, getting to work nice and early. We've still got aerial support. We've still got helicopters. We're still going to be doing retardant drops. And what it comes down to is in the morning, before the winds really get blowing, we've got all our crews out there doing work. You know, as we keep saying, boots on the ground. They're out building fire line, they're out clearing, they're out preparing. And then as the winds pick up, as things get a little more dangerous, progressively more dangerous, we'll get people away from that area. That's when we start going in with the retardant, the bucket drops, where we're not, you know, putting anybody in harm's way.
The acreage, last night they were reporting that after an infrared mapping, that the acreage was just over 4,000.
Correct. If you take the infrared mapping, it has all the little islands that are all on the inside. If we encompass the entire footprint of this fire, it comes to about 5,000 acres as far as looking at a big picture. But there's a lot of little pockets inside the fire and little fingers along the fire's edge that, if we really get technical about it, we're really about 4,000 acres are burnt. You know, maybe even closer to 3,900 that are actually burnt in a 5,000 acre circle. How's that sound? Makes sense?
For people who love this area or in that area a lot, we had heard in the past about fires burning in a mosaic pattern. Is that going to be typical of this once we get up in there, or what's this going to look like?
Definitely, especially with wind-driven type fires that are pushed through different parts of the terrain. You'll find areas that get completely missed. It can take runs up through little canyons. It can spot over different areas. This fire was more consistent because it's not real tight, canyony, twisty sort of country. There was a lot of that. 5,000 acres is burnt, but you know, originally we were thinking as a bigger box for this picture, and at this point it's not growing. So it could be somewhat mosaic, and you know, we'll see as it's safe to get inside of that. But at this point, and it's a pretty steady burn.
Any change in the timeline for when folks who are evacuated can return home?
Nothing changed at this point. You know, we're still in active fire weather. A lot of fire behavior still expected. Like I said, we had a spot fire 1,500 feet outside of the line. We're potential for wind shifts to happen, potential for thunderstorms over the next couple days, especially Tuesday and Wednesday is where we're looking for isolated thunderstorms that can have strong downdrafts that can push the fire around on us. We're nowhere close to looking at letting folks back in. And we're very aware how important it is to be able to get back into our homes, to get things as soon as it's safe. And the powers to be determine that that's a very good, safe decision. We'll get folks back in. We'll start by guiding people, bringing them in, escorted to get to their homes, to deal with things as much as possible. But it's always a really good day when we can lift evacuations. That's when things are going really well.
Do you know how many people total have been evacuated?
Total of 25 people have been evacuated out of 37 homes. A total of 96 structures. That includes all outbuildings, everything from sheds to residences to vacation homes to full-time residences. No changes on the evacuations in the last couple of days.
Do you know how close the fire has come to the evacuated areas?
The fire really isn't that close at all to the evacuated areas right now. The fire isn't moving into those directions. Things are slowed down. Over in the Carlock Ranch area, it's closest to the west slope, the west flank of the fire, but the slopes are pushing away from it. The winds are pushing away from it. It can back down towards that. But the Carlock's a very good example of how it's possible for that wind to turn around and start blowing the other direction. But at this point, it hasn't, and it's not predicted to. There's a human cause investigation on the start of the San Juan fire, where on the Fort Apache tribe land down at San Juan Flats, they have determined that this was human caused. And there's multiple jurisdictional law enforcement agencies all working together. They're not releasing anything to anyone at this point because of the investigation, but they have determined that it's not natural causes. This has been human caused, but we don't know if that was intentional. We don't know if it was accidental. We don't know if it was a cigarette butt or if it was a campfire or anything else at this point. All we know is that there was no lightning at the time. We got approval just last night that yes, we are indeed having another public meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday evening at the fire station. And you know, this is the first of anyone's put that out as official, but I feel very confident saying that because the fire chief and the incident commander both verbally said, oh yeah, we're definitely doing that.